you get a chance to make more what? More sales. Does that make sense? Yeah. I know that's real basic stuff, but let's just so you know, just like you answered, I've shared that with hundreds of thousands of people in conferences all over the world, and I'll say more leads equals more what? And people really don't have a ready answer. But I want you to think about this. Is it possible to have more sales without more leads? Is it possible? No. But for some reason, we don't think in terms of that. And the reason being is that we want the sale because we want the outcome. So more leads equals more sales. Here it is. More sales equals more money. Now, I have to tell people when I'm being profound. This is one of those moments. You make more sales, you get a chance to make more money. Is that a true statement? Yes. But when you make more leads, you make more sales, and you have more money, guess what you have? The best thing in this business you can have is more choice. You make more leads, more sales, more money, you have more choice. The choice, who do I want to work with and who do I not? If you have lead 1, you're going to work with that person. If you have 10 leads and one of them shows up to be maybe not your cup of tea, okay, there's a French term we use to identify it in my real estate career. It was called a jackass. You ever met a jackass? If you only have 1 lead and they are a jackass, you will find yourself speaking French. Yeah, they're not so bad. They did not mean that. They don't mean to offend me, but they will. They will, and they'll do it over and over again. They'll make you pay. You have more choice in regards to who you're going to work with and when. As my business grew and I developed from becoming that novice white belt agent and became more of a black belt agent, now all of a sudden I worked with these kinds of people and I referred off to my buyer's agents and team members other types of clients. If someone was here to buy a home a second or third time from me, or I'd helped them buy 2 or 3 homes and now their children were coming to buy a home from me, I always work with those people. So what happens is the more leads you make, the more sales you make. The more sales you make, the more dollars you make. The more leads, sales, and dollars you make, the more choice you make. If that makes sense, say aye. Aye. We want to get you down the path to understanding the importance of lead generation. Vince Lombardi talked about the importance of the ball. Guys, when we have it, don't lose it. And when they have it, go get it. Sounds simple? Sounds so basic? But if it was so basic, why was his team able to win so many championships in an ultra-competitive environment and so many people not? Because most people neglect the essentials. And it's the people who master these essentials and master these fundamentals go on to be the black belts in the business. So here's the success indicators, another illustration in your workbook. Success indicators. Technical knowledge will represent about 15% of your success. 85% of your success will be predicted by your ability to generate a lead. Now, at Buffini & Company, we've been quoting that stats for years because we coach tens of thousands of people in real live experience. And people have often said, well, where'd you get that from? Well, it was all based on some science at the beginning, but then we just saw it over and over again. But I wanted to, for this training program, okay, let's do a little research. Well, here it is. The Carnegie Institute of Technology just brought this out. And it says research shows that 85% of your financial success is due to your skills, in your personality, in your ability to communicate, negotiate, and lead. Shockingly, only 15% is due to technical knowledge. So apparently when the Carnegie Institute of Technology says it, it must be true. So they spent lots of years and lots of money proving the point that we could have told you in 5 minutes at a real estate seminar. Here is the dynamic. How many of you know someone in your office who knows everything there is to know technically about the business? Or someone who knows everything there is to know about every piece of software, hardware, every app, every little gizmo that comes along, every technological little trick of the trade? They know it. They have it down cold. When you're stuck, you go talk to them. They have about a 15% chance of success. But there's people who don't even know how to turn on their cell phone particularly well. Like, they're still, I don't know how to use the calendar, I don't know how to, but they're masters at lead generation. Let me tell you, that person's going to dominate. That person's going to make a lot of sales, a lot of money, and have a lot of choice. And then they have the choice to go hire someone who's really technically savvy. There's things that I don't do that I should be able to do. I don't know how to type. I do not know how to type. But there are a bunch of people at Buffini & Company that are very thankful that I do not know how to type. Because they got a job. which gives me the choice to go get it done. Does that make sense? Yes. My mentor, Jim Rohn, said this. He said, success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying basic fundamentals. This Essentials course is designed to put the foundation in place that we can take you to the advanced, that we can take you to the legacy class level, so you can be the 6th degree black belt one day. But before you ever start dreaming about 6 degrees of black belt, we got to figure out how to get the white belt and on. Does that make sense? Yes. The next thing we're going to cover is the significance of quality. You got to have quality. Quality is more important than quantity. 1 homer is better than 2 doubles. Let me share with you a dynamic that is crucial, and I will say this will be the case for the next 20 to 30 years in this business. The quality of a lead in this business is directly related to the source of where it comes from. The quality of the lead is directly related to the source of which it comes from. Think about it. Let's just go through some numbers. Rather than me teach you, let me ask you. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's say 1's the lowest quality lead and 10 is the highest, okay? Let's say you got a lead off an online lead generation modality, okay? So you've paid money, your face has appeared somewhere, it's an inquiry, and somehow that inquiry magically turns into a lead. What number would you put on that?
1.
Okay? It'd tend to be down here on the lower scale, right? Let's say someone calls off a sign in a yard. That's not bad, right? It means they're driving around, they're looking at homes. What number would you put on that? Okay, maybe, huh? 3 to 4. All right. So it starts to improve. Does that make sense? Now let's say you got a referral. Let's say you got a referral from a very, very happy, satisfied past client who endorsed you to a colleague or a family member. What number would you put on that?
10.
Okay, so it's up here and higher. Let's say it's 8 to 10. Because sometimes you can get referred people that are decent, sometimes you get referred people that are awesome. The best analogy I can give you is, what if you got a referral from your grandmother? What would that be worth to you? Let me tell you, that's a 12. It's always a 12. And here's why, because even if you don't close the sale, grandma's going to give you the money. Would you guys agree? And as a recent grandfather myself, my net worth has started to shrink by the moment by the fact that every time my wife spends any time with our grandchild, I just feel this giant sucking sound. You follow? The quality of your leads is in direct proportion to the source from which it comes from. Look, if I could buy a bunch of online leads, have them converted for me, delivered on a plate, the person tours the homes on my website or Zillow or wherever else, and then clicks and says, I want to make an offer on this, I show them once, and then click, add this commission check to my bank account, I'd be all for it. How many of those can I buy? I mean, I'm going to be over here explaining how to get your hands dirty and getting in here into the soil. And you got to go plant seeds. And you got to work hard. Is that because I have, I have to work hard to feel like I'm worthy of making money? I've tried. Trust me, I'm a guy that wants to get there and want to get there quick. I just found this, that in life and in business, the tortoise always wins. And I've seen 1,000 flash in the pans. And I've seen 1,000 agents come and go. And I've seen thousands of companies enter into the real estate business. And they have this gimmick and that gimmick. And then they go out of business after a couple of years. And then they resurface again with a new idea. And here's the next gimmick. And the bottom line is, some people want that. That's not what this program's for. And if you've been a person who's been addicted to the gimmick, okay, fair enough. But hopefully you're going to change your tune here today. And we're going to show you. And we're going to show you lots and lots of examples of people just like you who started this process off, got their hands in the dirt, built themselves a heck of a business. If you spend your money and time planting seeds, the tech seeds, you're going to get tech leads. Does that make sense? Well, if I plant carrots, I harvest carrots. Fair? If I plant wheat, I get wheat. If I just run ads, I'm going to get people who call off ads. If I build into relationships and I build into my customers and I build in value to people, and I cultivate a culture of referrals, I'm going to get referrals. Does that make sense? Yeah. The truth is we don't want it to be true. We don't want the law of the harvest to be true. But I'm going to share with you it is. And if you want to build a business that will sustain through any market conditions, through any change in the economy, through any disruptors that enter this field, you got to do the work. And that's why the next piece here is about the goal of relationships. We want relationships. Scott Stratton, a great Canadian author and speaker, wrote a book called Unmarketing. He's spoken at many of our conferences. He says this: if you believe business is built on relationships, then make building them your business. So I'm going to give you right now the goal of a relationship with someone in your database, okay? Here it is, 3 things. First, I want them to know who I am. That's kind of important. What's your name? You call to your database and they go, who are you? That's not a good sign. But is that the case? Most agents pull up their databases, there's people on there they don't know, and the person they would call wouldn't know them. Is that true? Yeah. So the first thing is, I want them to know who I am. The second thing is I want them to know what I do. There are many secret agents out there, and they're family and friends. They love them, they think they're great. They're at church, they're at parties, they're at their kids' ball games, but they've no idea what they do. They really have a good rapport with the person, but the person doesn't think of them in regards to buying and selling homes. And if their best friend at work mentions something to them, they could endorse them. And then the third is, we want them to trust me. So who I am, what I do, trust me. Those are the 3 things I want. I'm going to walk you through that process here in these first 2 modules especially. So, a database. This is the dirt. This is where we're going to live. We're going to get our hands in the soil. Some of you are gardeners by nature. You love the smell of it. You love the look of it. You love everything about it. Your database. So let me tell you first of all what it's not. Your database is not a contact list. It's not just a list of contacts. It's not just a list of contacts. Your database is a list of relationships. It's a list of relationships. And I'm going to walk you through what your database looks like right now. I'm talking to people who are brand new to the business, brand new to the industry, or are perhaps brand new to a marketplace. So we know that there's people watching this today that's going to be the case. And their database, like, how do I go about building it? And we're going to talk about that. We also have people who've been in the business for 20 years, and they have a database, but they don't know what condition it's in. Remember the old song, just checked in to see what condition my condition was in? We need to check our database. This is the strength of our business. Think about it. When a doctor or dentist sells his or her practice, what do they sell? Database. That's all they got. It's their database with regards to repeat and referral customers. That's what they sell. They're not just selling instruments and chairs and sharp, pointy objects that you stick in somebody's mouth. Okay? The fact of the matter is, when a realtor sells their business, what do they sell? If you get online leads, if you do telemarketing for your leads, if you're out there and you have to just pump out doing cold calls, or maybe you do door-to-door, door knocking, maybe you sit at open houses all the time, and that's what you're going to sell, you have nothing to sell. Because the only thing you have to sell is your effort. Does that make sense? So your database is in 3 states. Like the soil is 3 states. The first state of a database is a recession. Your database is in recession. So how does a database get into recession? First, we lose contact with people. Does that ever happen? We don't stay in touch. People move out of town. That happens. People pass away. Here's a common one. A family member or a friend becomes a realtor. Does that ever happen? Well, let me tell you, you might be the trusted advisor and a great realtor, and their sister becomes a realtor. A lot of times they feel obligated to work with their sister. Does that make sense? Rightly so. Great. Blood's thicker than water. My database is in recession. So what happens is a lot of people, I want to get my soil just so, and then I never have to worry about it again. This is an ongoing process that never ends. The second state of a database is stagnation. Stagnation. Just like water becomes stagnant, well, stagnation for a database is actually you're treading water. And you're treading water between recession and expansion. It's actually, when your business is stagnating, you feel like you kind of sell the same amount of homes every year. You get to this production plateau. If you work hard, you sell $4 million worth of real estate. If you kind of goof off, you sell $4 million worth of real estate. Your business is stagnating. And you think, well, it's not bad. It's kind of what I want. But just so you know, your database is either growing or dying. The soil is either becoming more fertile or less fertile. So it's either heading towards a recession or it's heading toward an expansion. This is just a period of time in between. You have to think about where's your business and where's your database. And then the third part, and what is very exciting, is expansion. And this is something we really focus on at Buffini & Company, because we want to help people not just generate referrals. We want to get the past customers coming to us as well. In fact, when I always talk about referrals, it's repeat and referral customers in that order. That's always how I define it. And so I want to show you basically, if you'll work this program and you'll follow this system as we lay it out for you, here's what you can hope for: the expansion of your database. And I have a formula for you in your workbook. So let's say in year 1, this person has 100 people in their database, not an uncommon number, and they do 10 sales. Okay, follow along with me here. Naturally, the database will increase by about 1.5. So if you do 10 sales, your database is going to expand a little bit that year. So you're going to add 15 people to your database. So you started with 100. At the end of the year, you'll have 115. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So then next year, you start with 115. Now this person goes from selling 10 to 20 homes, a very, very easy common dynamic for what we teach here. That database is going to grow by 1.5. You're going to add 30 people to your database here. Does that make sense? Yeah. 20 sales, you're going to add 30. Now you're up to 145. You guys see where this is going? Yes. Okay. This is just a basic growing database. Some of you will grow much faster than this, and that's okay. Now you're starting with 145. Now you're going from 10 to 20 to 30 sales. Okay? Now this is something we've done all day and all night for hundreds of thousands of people. The database is going to grow by 45. Now you're up to 190. Now you're starting year 4 with 190. You're going to do 40 sales. You've gone from 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay? Now database is going to grow by 60. You guys following with this? Yeah. So now you end the year with 250. Started with 190, finished the year with 250. Your database is doing what? It's expanding. Very organically, very naturally. We're not buying lists of people we don't know. Okay? Year 5, here's 250. Now you're doing 50 sales. Database grows by 75. Now we're up to 325. So watch what happens here. We've gone from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 sales. Our database has gone from 100 to 325. That's just in 5 short years. By year 6, now the database goes, we have 325 at the start of the year. We sell 60 homes. Again, that's a natural progression. The database grows by 90. Now you're up to 415 people. Now here's the magic of this, and you can write this in your workbook. By the end of year 6, you have 415 people in your database, and 210 of them are your past clients. 415 in your database, 210 of your past clients. That's why each year gets easier and easier than the year before. That's the power of this compounding system. And so most people, they'll spend 1 year in the business and then spend another year in the business and then spend another year in the business, and they're not related. Does that make sense to you? And so they're always looking for the quick fix. And if 6 years, well, that sounds like a long time. Sounds like a prison sentence to some degree. Okay? But let me share with you, if you have kids, you know this. The days are long, the years are short, and it goes by like that. Are you willing to put in the time to build the business you need to have over the long haul? Are you willing to spend the time to go dig the dirt, plant the seeds, so you can make the bread? So that's why we built this course, The Pathway to Mastery, to lay out a path for you to each and every stage of your business to get from one level to the next to the next. Does that make sense? So you tell me, what do you want? You want to start over every year? Okay? You want to be spending money every year? New Year's Eve rolls around, yoo-hoo! New Year's Day rolls around, depressed. Why? Because I'm starting over every year from scratch. That's the standard operating procedure for the standard agent in this industry. The fact of the matter is there's a compounding effect to what we're talking about. The soil gets more fertile every year. Your database becomes more fertile. Your brand becomes stronger. It actually becomes easier and easier and easier. If you will just maintain it and be consistent, it becomes easier. I can tell you this, year 5 into my working by referral life, I might send out 5 or 10 notes and get 3 or 4 referrals. In year 1, I might send out 50 or 60 notes and get no responses at all. Does that make sense? It's a compounding effect. It all starts with this database. Now you're sitting here going, man, this is great. I love the idea of it. Where do I start? Now, I would need a heck of a lot of time to walk through all the aspects of all the methodologies we have for building a database. But I'm going to give you some resources, some tools, okay? So first of all, in your workbook, the first tip I'm going to give you is to make a list of everyone you know. Make a list of everyone you know. Now, if you've been in the business a long time, the advice I have for you is to make a list of everyone you know. Because here's the problem. People who've been in the business a long time, what they realize is there's people they interact with and have built relationships with, they forgot to add into their database. And they're like, no, my business is pretty solid, it's pretty good. Make a list of everyone you know and compare it against your database. And then we've given in your workbook some examples for you to go and look through, okay? Family, friends, former colleagues, vendor list, past clients, neighbors, and then even people in your social media network. We'll go to that. The next piece is activities to do. There's specifically activities you can do to build your database. And it is go do an open house, attend Chamber of Commerce events, attend a business networking event. There's change of address cards. So every time your customer sells a home, here's what I did for mine. I'd say, hey, all of your family and friends, they want to see your new house. So guess what? I want to take you and a picture of the family in front of the new house. And we'll send out a card to everybody. We'll send it out in a mail. We'll do it electronically. You give me a list of all the people you want to know at your new address. And it's just a service I provide. Maybe I do a housewarming party. And I invite them to a housewarming party. So 90 days after the sale, I'd host a housewarming party for one of my clients. And I'd invite all their family and friends over and so on and so forth, kind of host the party, kind of be the waiter, be the maitre d'. I mean, I would just be in the background connecting with people and so on and so forth. But I did the invitations. I did all the promotion. I'd call the people to invite. And everybody who walks through the house goes, man, when my realtor helped us buy a house, he never did this for us. Does that make sense? So we have as part of your course and your resources, the change of address cards for you that you can take and use. And we also have the housewarming party invitation so that you can take and use, okay? We want to really give you these tools to be able to go do these essentials. This is essential. Let me tell you, if you ace the other 7 modules in this course, but you don't ace this one, you will never be a black belt, okay? You've got to ace this. Jamie Nowak has prepared a presentation that we want you to watch on your own as part of your resources. And it's the 7 steps to building your database. And so what she's done is methodically laid it all out for you. It would take another 45, 50 minutes for me to do it right here today with you. Some of you already have a pretty good database. Some of you are starting from scratch. So watch that resource. We also have an ebook we have for you as part of your resource to download. And it's how to build your real estate database from scratch. So we have a lot of resources for you. We have this change of address card. We have the housewarming party invitation. We have Jamie's video on how to build your database. And then we have the ebook, how to build your database from scratch. These resources are available to you, not as, oh, that's nice to have. This is essential. If you don't have any dirt, there's no point in planting any seeds. Does that make sense? Yeah. And if you don't plant any seeds, you're not going to make any dough. So this is why this is crucial. So we start with the broadest funnel we can. We start with this, make a list of everyone you know. We're adding names in one at a time. We're adding names in groups at a time. And it's this big wide funnel. Now, it's very important, and this is where what we teach is very different than what the market typically does, and why our agents average almost 10 to 12 times the national average in income, because they don't do what the average agent does, which is if I can get to 3,000 or 4,000 or 10,000 people in my database, then I'm going to be successful. We start with the broadest list possible, and then we start paring it down. And it's based on a series of principles from an Italian economist called Vilfredo Pareto. So what this Italian economist was brought in to analyze in Italy was who owns the real estate. And what he found out, that 80% of the land and the homes in Italy were owned by 20% of the people. Then the banking industry contacted him and he found out that approximately 80% of all the deposits was owned by 20% of the people. Then he's brought in by the church. Church is big business in Italy. And they found out that 80% of the giving was done by 20% of the people. But now those are all money things. Then he found out that 80% of the volunteering was done by 20% of the people. And this principle showed up over and over and over again. Oh, by the way, in the real estate industry today, I'm presenting to you today, 17% of agents have 81% of the inventory. The 80-20 rule is real. It's a principle. And so the Pareto Principle for you to write into your workbook says this: 80% of your results will come from 20% of your people. 80% of your results will come from 20% of your people. I want to share with you a story. A couple that came to me in 1996. Yes, that's how old I am. One of the first seminars I gave, decades ago. And their name was Sam and Edith Elsie. They came to us with a list. They had a database of 440 people, okay, all over the place. And that year they sold 13 homes. So this big, big database. So the bigger my database, the more sales I'm going to make, right? That's the thinking. Well, they started working with their coach, Robin McFarlane, and he started sorting and qualifying the database down. And he kept saying, where's the 20? Where's the 20? Where's the 20? And so here's what happened for those guys. They sorted and qualified their database. Because when they started calling, they literally, people were like, who are you? Changed phone numbers that didn't ring. Okay, addresses that mail bounced back. And when they really started cultivating through that database, they got down to 42 relationships. So you had 440 people, they got down to 42. In the first 12 months of using the system, they generated 309 referrals. So big database, we helped them get it small and focused and powerful and quality. Then focus your attention and energy on those people. So you can give them a lot of attention. You can give a lot of attention to 42 people. It's hard to give any attention to 440. I have 6 kids. Okay, let me tell you, it takes a lot of energy to give each one of them all the attention they need. Does that make sense? Yes. It would be much harder to have 60 kids. Okay, just let that thought pass by. Okay. So let me show you how we do this at Buffini & Company. We want you to sort and qualify your database into the following categories of people. You have your A-plus people. This is the most fertile soil you have. These are your A-pluses, and these are people who've sent you multiple referrals. Multiple referrals. Your very best advocates. Then you have your A clients. These are the people most likely, that's the next thing to write down, most likely to refer you. Then you have your B clients. These are people who would refer you if you asked and showed them how. So the A-pluses, these are advocates, okay? Walking, talking billboards for you. The A's, these might be past clients, people referred you once in a while, close friends and family. The B's, these would be people you've sent a card to at the holiday, okay? So any holidays at all, maybe it's Christmas, Easter, whatever you celebrate, and you'll send out a card to them. That'd be your B list. And they would refer you if you asked them and showed them how to refer you. The C's, well, these might be new people you meet, okay? They might refer you in the future, okay? So these are people who might refer you in the future, and they're new people. It might be a waiter or a waitress at a restaurant. It's on life's journey. O, and this is an important category, this is your online contacts. And so this is your social media contacts. This is people you meet online. And so I'm not going to discount that. I think it's a good pillar to your business. But I would tell you quickly for me, I'm trying to get O's to become C's or D's, up or down. And the D, well, I kind of mentioned these people earlier. These are the people to be deleted from your database. These are the people to be deleted from your database. Can you remember the French word we use? Yeah. What was it? Jackass. You said it very nicely, okay? Because here's the thing. You know, I have a little fun with this. It's no fun working with a jackass. Okay? They rob you of your joy and your enthusiasm for what you do. You can have 4 clients you're working with at the same time. 3 super good people. Appreciate what you do, value you, can't thank you enough for your efforts. And then you get this one, this jackass, and they rob you of your joy and your enthusiasm for what you do. They take more time and effort than the other 3 combined. Does that make sense? So just like with the garden, we got to get the weeds out. Okay? If you put fertilizer on top of this soil and it's got weeds in here, weeds are going to grow. Does that make sense? So I want you to view this. This right here this is a giant funnel. This is the list of everyone we know. And we're up 40 feet in the air looking down on top of the funnel. And we're going to sort that funnel into A pluses, A's, B's, C's, O's, and the D's, well, they are going to go away one of these days. It all makes sense. This is all common sense. Can you plant seeds in rocky soil and hope to get a great return? Yes or no? No. I mean, you plant seeds in the desert. Now, I know that might look like landscaping in Arizona, but here's the point. That is not what's going to make for a great farm. The next thing is you got a field full of weeds. You got all kinds of O's and D's and marginal C's. I mean, that's what it looks like. You can work as hard as you can. You can get up at dawn, down at dusk, plant seeds till your fingers bleed, fertilize, water, and it doesn't matter, you won't get a harvest. Does that make sense? Why does it make sense in farming, but it doesn't make sense in our business? We have to sort and qualify that database. We make a list of everyone we know, we get groups together, we get the entire database, and then we put them in the funnel. And the goal is to get to this. You want to get to this rich soil that you're going to plant, that you're going to put seeds in here, you're going to fertilize, you're going to water, and when you do that, you're going to get a harvest. It's just the law of the land. Now again, this is a complicated process. I've been teaching this for over 30 years. I started when I was 9. And we've built every tool you can imagine. We've coached tens of thousands of people. Been the largest business coaching company in North America for a long, long time. So we built every resource you can imagine. So we want to include just the things you need and none of the things you don't. There's probably 50 or 60 resources that I could give you today regarding your database, but I'm just giving you those things. Here's 4 things I gave you to help build up your database. Now I'm going to give you one thing to make your database come alive. And it's a relationship manager, okay? And it's a CRM. Now, you may work for a company that already has a great CRM. Fantastic. You may have your own CRM. Fantastic. But during the duration of this course, if you want to be successful in this course, get the CRM that is part of this program. It's called Referral Maker. And it's designed to make referrals for you. What a great name. Okay? #1 rated CRM in a real estate business. Okay? Second largest used by agents. Now, we didn't develop this to get into the CRM business. We developed this to support our agents to be able to sort and qualify their database, to be able to do this. And so if you'll see each module, there'll be a piece of the action steps we give you that will relate to this CRM. That'll make your goals come alive, make your financial management come alive, make your actions come alive, make your reports come alive, and help you, after 8 modules, having the essentials of how to run a business like a business. Does that make sense? So, and if at the end of the 8 modules you decide to go back to your own CRM, no problem. You'll be in great shape because you'll have a sorted and qualified database. You'll have a set of goals that are related to it. You'll have a financial plan related to it. You'll have time management related to it. And you'll have a dashboard of activities related to it. So you'll be a lot better off. Does that make sense? Yeah. So at the very least, for these next 8 weeks, I want you to knuckle down. Here's why it's so crucial. We built a coaching company first. It used to take, with a coach, paying $6,000 a year, it used to take 6 months to get a person to sort and qualify their database with a coach. And they're highly skilled. When we put the CRM in place, all of a sudden, it went from 6 months to 36 minutes. Does that make sense? So that's why we're including it, okay? So we want to add a little miracle grow here, make this process go a little quicker. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears with you. We started out with lists and ideas and how to make this soil work. Let me give you one tip. The best way to build your database is face-to-face. I know you wish there was an app for that. But the best way is face-to-face because a database is a list of relationships. And the best way to build relationships is what? Face-to-face. Now, one of the focus points of this training program is dialogues. Dialogues are different than scripts. A script is using words verbatim regardless of situation or context. A dialogue is a guide to use and phrases to employ that you ultimately make your own. And the first of these is called the Mayor Campaign. And it was developed by my good friend Joe Nego. Now, Joe Nego sold real estate on the south side of Chicago. And he went from selling 9 homes a year to over 250 homes a year using this very dialogue, okay? And I saw it in action. I've been with him and watched him do his magic. So Joe would meet someone. He'd have a conversation. He would be in a restaurant. He would be at a party. He would be in a social setting. Wherever he'd meet somebody and he'd say, hey, what do you do for a living? And he'd take an interest in them. And as the conversation would turn, the person would say, well, what do you do, Joe? Oh, well, I help people buy and sell homes. And then he would say this. So the Mayor Campaign was a dialogue he developed. He said, if I was running for mayor of Chicago, I'd want to get people to vote for me. And he'd want to get people to vote for him in his database. Does that make sense? Yeah. So he said, oh, by the way, if you were buying or selling a home or had a friend or a family member who was, do you have a realtor you'd refer them to? Oh, by the way, if you were buying or selling a home or had a friend or family member who was, do you have a realtor you'd refer them to? Now look at me here for a second. That dialogue, in just a couple of sentences, achieves 3 big things. If you were buying or selling a home, Sometimes they go, well, it's funny you say that, we're thinking about it. Or you had a friend or family member who was. Now I'm talking about a referral. Well, it's funny you should mention that. My brother mentioned to me last night. And then it qualifies them. Do you have a realtor you'd refer them to? So if you were buying or selling a home, or had a friend or family member who was, that's a referral. Do you have a realtor you'd refer them to? 3 things accomplished in one dialogue. That's worth learning. And that's worth mastering. I've been with Joe Nego in a restaurant. He had a business card in his top pocket. He's having a conversation, hands a business card, connects with this person, adds that person to his database. So how did he do that? Well, follow along with your workbook. If the response is, yes, I do have someone I'd refer, then your reply is, that's great. It's important to have a qualified professional to work with. If the soil isn't fertile, move on. Oh, my auntie, she's in real estate. How old is she? 75. Hanging on by a thread then, huh? Well, if she's not around anytime soon, give me a call. Like, if someone's connected to a realtor. There are so many unclaimed clients. Don't get caught up in the ones that have some kind of affiliation. Even if you think they're using that as a smokescreen just to end the conversation. God bless them, great. There's so many unclaimed clients. The vast majority of agents aren't in contact with their database. They're not in contact with their past customers. The National Association of Realtors produced a report recently that said 28% of satisfied clients, people who are totally satisfied with their agents, couldn't remember their name within a year. Because most agents aren't in contact. So there's so many unclaimed ones, just focus on that. So the response is no, it's right in your workbook. I don't have anyone. Then your reply is, well, I'd like to be that person. Every month I send out helpful information on topics like how to improve your credit score, how to protect yourself from identity theft, stuff like that. Does that sound like something you'd like to receive? And you're basically engaging in a conversation, and it leads you along to go and ask for their contact info. Where do I send it to? If I need to get a hold of you, what's the best number to reach you at? Powerful. So this is a way to add quality to your database. This is to, maybe you're putting potting soil and making the dirt more rich. You're always adding. Remember, this is either getting stagnant, or it's in recession, or it's growing. I don't care how successful you are, you're always adding people to your database. Buffini & Company is a hugely successful coaching company, but we are very committed to always bringing new people in to keep our business fresh. By the way, they bring new ideas, they bring new opportunities, and they make our existing clients better. Now, I also use the Mayor campaign to sort and qualify my database down. So I started with, if you're an experienced agent, the first time I heard the Mayor campaign, I used it to sort and qualify, to weed out certain people, and to find out where people were. So I started with the people I thought were my A+, and I started calling them. And I'd have a conversation, we'd connect, and then I'd say this, and it's in your workbook. This is for people you know well. By the way, if you were buying or selling a home or had a friend or family member who was, am I the realtor you'd refer them to? Now, I've known agents who are afraid to ask that question. Well, what if they say no? It's good to say no. Then you can stop bugging them. Does that make sense? Like that? Okay. Okay. Would you like to go out on a date? No, I've been married for 3 years. Okay. Now, unless you're a little off, that's a no sign. So, if they say, yes, I will refer you, make sure you keep adding them to the database. And you'll send them this month's mailing. We'll show you what to mail them. Part of your kit, part of your program. Follow up with a personal note. We'll give you the notes, and we'll show you what to say in the notes. And if someone says no, now you know who to spend time with and who you don't. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Now, Jamie Nowak, who is not just only the host of this training program, she has also mastered these dialogues. Jamie was an agent in our program for over 10 years, and now she's been over 10 years as a master trainer with our company. So we're going to watch her in action right now demonstrate the Mayor campaign. She's at her son's ball game, and she strikes up a conversation with another Little League mom. Let's take a look at the Mayor campaign in action.
Which one is yours out there?
Number 5, playing first, Jacob.
Jacob, yes. My son Jason's number 3. He's playing short. He talks about Jacob a lot. He's a great little part of the team. We all saw that amazing hit he had in our first game last week.
Oh yeah, he was so excited about that, and we've been reliving it all week.
I'm sure that you have. I'm sure you have. I'm Jamie, by the way.
Nice to meet you. I'm Colleen.
Nice to meet you too. So what else do you do besides being a baseball mom? Because this can be a full-time job.
Oh, I know it, but Jacob loves it, so we make it happen. And I took some time off to stay at home with the kids, focus on them and volunteering.
Oh, cool. So you have a pretty full plate.
Oh yeah, and a crazy one.
And no doubt about that. Oh, wow. Great play, guys.
Let's go, boys.
You see that? That was awesome.
That's great. So what do you do, Jamie?
I actually help people buy and sell homes in our area.
Oh, that's neat. That's something I'd love to do someday.
You know, it's an awesome business. I love what I do, and for me, there's nothing like putting the keys into the hands of a couple or a family that didn't think they could ever buy a home.
Oh, totally. That's awesome.
I'll tell you what, if I can do it, you can do it.
But how do you handle the rejection part?
You know, that's a good question. I don't deal with much rejection because what I do is I work by referral. So I focus my time, my efforts on my sphere of influence, on my past clients, providing them value. I check in from time to time, give them some gentle reminders, seeing who they might know that want to buy or sell a home, and over time I end up with a steady stream of referrals.
That sounds like the way to go.
It really is. So let me ask you, if you were buying or selling a home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have a realtor you'd refer them to?
You know, not really. We used an agent about 5 years ago to buy our first home, but I don't think I even remember her name.
Exactly. Now that's what makes my business different, because I want to build relationships and stay in touch and provide great value long after you buy or sell a home with me. So if you needed a painter or you needed a financial planner, I would want to be the person that you call. And because real estate is always a hot topic, every month I send out helpful information on how to cozy up your home appeal or home values, even how to de-stress from your tech, which we all need. Does that sound like something you would like?
Oh, totally. That sounds great.
Fantastic. Well, why don't I grab your address and your phone number? I'll send a couple of those cool things over to you. And you'll have my information. Then if you need help with carpooling or snacks or anything this season, I'm happy to help.
That's great. Thanks, Jamie.
That'd be really cool. Oh, look, Jacob's up to bat.
Let's go, Jacob.
You got this, kid.
Nice, huh? It's nice to see these dialogues in action, isn't it? Now, you can role play this dialogue if you're in a classroom setting like this, or if you're taking this course online. Maybe you record the dialogue, read it out loud, and then listen back into the sound of your own voice. The only way you get good at dialogues is practicing. Does that make sense? Yes. So, today we've covered the law of the harvest. And your database, that's the soil. We got to get our hands in the soil. We got to get a little dirty. Now, the reason we ABC our database is because some of the soil is more fertile than others. Everybody with me on that? And that soil is either in recession, it's in stagnation, or it's in expansion. We learned that one of the best ways to build your business is face-to-face, and the mayor campaign is just the dialogue to get you there. Ultimately, the power of the harvest is when you take care of the soil and you plant the seeds, and you get to make a lot of bread. And that's our hope and prayer for all of you guys as you apply this course. In today's tips and techniques section, I want to show you how your personal philosophy is also part of the law of the harvest. What you think about yourself, your abilities, and your future is the soil of your mind. As the great Earl Nightingale said in The Strangest Secret, we become what we think about all day long. Oh man, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're going to turn into a hamburger, right? The fact of the matter is, the law of the harvest is a philosophy. Now, it happens to be a law of the universe. It happens to be a law of how the world was created and designed, just like the laws of physics. But the fact of the matter is that same principle applies to our mind, what we think and what we believe. The fact of the matter is, I want to share with all of you right now that I know that if you will challenge your own thinking about yourself, you can be hugely successful. I was a house painter son who emigrated to America with 92 bucks in his wallet. And on my pathway to mastery, I had to change what I think and what I believe about myself many times. I had a mentor by the name of Mark Victor Hansen, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, who said, Brian, you can double your income as fast as you double your self-esteem. I didn't know what he meant at the time, but I came to understand it. Another one of my mentors, Mr. Jim Rohn, said, Brian, go to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. You'll go from making a living to making a fortune. So the first thing I want to have you fill out in your workbook right now is a definition of philosophy. This is what Mr. Rohn really helped me with. And it's an analysis of the grounds and concepts expressed in fundamental beliefs. An analysis of the grounds and concepts expressed in fundamental beliefs. If you've not read Jim Rohn, if you've not listened to him, I encourage you to get everything you can and listen to him. He's passed a number of years ago, but a brilliant man who changed my life forever. And he said, it is our philosophical set of the sail that determines the course of our lives. To change our current direction, we have to change our philosophy, not our circumstances. The truth is, most people come to our company and they say, I want to change my circumstances. But rarely do they say, hey, I want to change myself. Well, we'll give them tools and how-tos and so on and so forth, but we'll also create an environment of growth so that person can grow and change perhaps their own philosophy at the same time. The richest businessman who ever lived, his name was King Solomon. And he said this, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Ladies, in the era of equality, apparently it's applicable to the ladies too. Whatever you think in your heart is what you'll be. The strangest secret, we become what we think about all day long. So I have 3 questions I want to walk you through right now to help challenge you. And then I have some resources I'm going to let you know that if you'll listen to them and start to embrace this and start to really develop a lifestyle of learning, a lifelong commitment to personal growth, you can change your life. I have. A poor immigrant house painter who does not live like a poor immigrant house painter anymore and haven't for a long time. So here's the first question I have for you. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? You know, sometimes we'll say things to ourselves we would not let anyone else say to us. Is that true? Lazy, fat, stupid. If we had a friend who said to us the things we say to us, they would not be our friend. Are you guys with me? Yes. All the analysis shows the tens of thousands of statements we say to ourselves every day. And I'm not looking to do some short-term, temporary brainwashing of self, but challenging. Is that true? Like when you say that about yourself? No, so you're late one time, I'm always late. Then we tell people, I'm always late. We lower the expectation. You might as well tell them, I'm not professional, I'm not trustable. You can't believe what I say to you because I always show up late. That's what we've unintentionally communicated. Does that make sense? Yeah. And there's so much to this. And I've seen over the decades in helping people transform their businesses and lives, we've helped people get a much more accurate picture of actually their own self-belief and own self-image, and even cultivate it to the point that it improves. Now, if you're aware of this or not, but I developed a podcast a few years ago called The Brian Buffini Show. And if you're not a podcast listener, I encourage you to be so. These are a way to take in personal growth and development information. You used to have to buy cassettes. If you're a younger person, Google cassette. You missed out on a fabulous time in history where in order to hear information, they would break and snap, and we had to use tape, and they'd go, boom, 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 and all kinds of, you'd rewind them with your finger. All the older folks are nodding their home, and all the young folks are going, I'm glad I live at this time in life. But we used to have to go to a seminar, to go to the back of the room to buy a set of cassettes to go listen. Is that true? And then it became CDs. Now you have these podcasts. And this is one of the reasons we threw our hat in the ring. And I developed a podcast that has received rave reviews from the 160 countries it's been downloaded in, and the millions of people who've listened to this. And it's called Developing Self-Belief. If you want to download our podcast, go to thebrianbuffinishow.com, and you can listen to the episode and follow along, become one of our subscribers. I would recommend starting with this one called Developing Self-Belief. Very, very, very powerful. Venus Williams said this, just believe in yourself, even if you don't. Pretend that you do, and at some point in time you will. Here's a little girl from inner city Compton, LA, that would be in the courts in Compton, pretending she was on center court at Wimbledon. And she visualized Wimbledon, and she told herself, you're a Wimbledon champion. Interesting that that's the major championship she won more than any other. She developed the self-belief. Long before she believed it, she told herself to believe it. Next, what do you believe about your abilities? Do you feel like you were kind of in the back of the soup kitchen line when God was handing out talents? Buffini & Company has trained 3 million business owners in 37 countries. We have coached tens and tens of thousands of people for decades. I'm going to share with you a fact. I have yet to meet a person who did not come equipped with gifts and talents they were born with. You might be a little beat up, you might be a little down on yourself, but the fact is you need to lean into the gifts that you have. No one is quite like you, and you need to lean into those gifts. Norman Vincent Peale, he wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, and he said, believe in yourself. have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy. My favorite author, this guy's a genius, he says this: just being myself is good enough to be great. That guy is awesome. See, I'm demonstrating my self-belief there, aren't I? Or is it something else? Okay. And then lastly, what do you believe about your future? Okay, I'm going to step on your toes here a little bit. If you're watching the news around the clock, every time there's a news alert, you're getting all sideways by what happens by the latest drama, and then the latest drama, and then the latest drama. That's the business those people are in, to create drama, to expose drama, to make things more dramatic so that you will watch, so that their advertisers will keep paying them. What I'm watching is I'm watching people all over the world become more and more inconsistent in their belief about the future. Well, the world's gone to hell in a handbasket. Just because things were bad in the past but not reported or not on social media, so they didn't get around the world in 8 seconds, those bad things just went unreported. But today, the whole world has gone to hell in a handbasket. I don't believe that. I know what I believe. I'm a student of history. I'm a student of economics. I'm a personal growth and development person. And here's what I can tell you. The next 30 years will blow away the past 30 years. The number of millionaires that were made in the last 30 years, it'll be 10 times in the next 30 years. The market is growing. The market is expanding. There's more capital than ever before. There's more countries coming to the table than ever before. The technologies are opening up markets that were never markets before. Is the world changing? Is it different? Of course it is. And we all have to grow. And we all have to change. And the fact of the matter is, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your abilities? What do you believe about your future? Here's what I know. I believe in you. I believe in each one of you. That's why I have a company that does what it does. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it. And I have been rewarded in ways that no money can ever be paid, because I've seen the transformation of people year after year, decade after decade, when that which is on the inside came to the outside. It's the law of the harvest. We talked to you about building a database today, but we've also talked to you about your mind and who you are and what you believe, and that it's fertile soil. The great Brian Tracy said this: when you develop yourself to the point where your belief in yourself is so strong that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to, your future will be unlimited. That's the truth about your future. Now, throughout this program, we want to encourage you with stories of people who've mastered these fundamentals to become very successful. We call it lessons from the legends. One such legend who embodies the principle of the law of the harvest and believed in herself is Kendall Bergstrom from Oregon. Now, when Kendall started in our coaching program, she was making about $60,000 a year in gross commissions. She had to borrow money from family and friends to go to our events, take our training, and get involved in our coaching. Today, Kendall is a wife. She's a mom. She lives on her own vineyard. Let's see what lessons we can learn from this working by referral legend.
One piece of advice I'd give to someone just starting out in the industry is to really focus on and learn what's inside of your control and what's outside of your control. For example, when you approach your work every day, you can control your mindset, you can control your attitude, you can control your planner, you can control noise that's happening around you. And so if you make a commitment to really understand what's inside of your control, the structure that you can place inside of your business and the boundaries that come with that allow a little bit more peace of mind, and I don't think you'll be as pulled perhaps in as many directions when you really focus on that.
Here are your action steps for Module 1. Number 1, make a list of everyone you know. Now this becomes your database. And this is a step I want you to take whether you're new to real estate and our systems or you're a longtime veteran, because you know more people than you think. And no matter how long you've been in this business, there are people you've left out. So look at it with fresh eyes. Number 2, upload your database into Referral Maker CRM. Now, if this scares you, we have an instructional video in your resources to help you through. Then you'll do an initial sort of your people into A's, B's, and C's using the definitions Brian just gave you and your gut. Now, we understand that your company might have a fantastic CRM, or maybe you love the one you're already using, and we're not trying to change that. But for the purpose of this course, we want you to use Referral Maker because it's going to prompt you to automatically sort and qualify your database, and it's the only one of its kind to do that. If this still makes you pause, upload your top 100 clients and let's get going, because it's going to give you a greater chance for success because it's built for working by referral. And then, of course, if you want to, you can go back to your other CRM after the program is over. Now, number 3, each day we're going to call 5 people in your database and use the Mayor Campaign dialog to qualify them. So, once you've done your initial sort in Referral Maker, now the challenge is to actually ask the question as you're making the calls to your clients. Start with the people you like best, and you qualify them like this. If you were buying or selling a home, or you had a friend or family member who was, am I the realtor you'd refer them to? Now, I know this can feel intimidating, but it will help give you clarity and focus your efforts on the right people along the way. As Brian said, the quality of our soil makes all the difference. Number 4, listen to or watch the 7 steps to building your database. This will give you a great jump start or a necessary refresher to help you build a vibrant list of relationships. Number 5, be sure to track your activities and results in either Referral Maker CRM or the Online Resource Center. And here are some resources we have for Module 1. These can be found at buffiniandcompany.com by logging into your Online Resource Center. We've got How to Build Your Database from Scratch ebook. We've got the change of address cards in there and the housewarming party invitation that Brian spoke of. And of course, we have the Brian Buffini Show podcast, episode number 111, Developing Self-Belief. This is a must listen. Now, some of the resources we provide, you may not need right now, so use as necessary along the journey. The key is don't overthink it. Follow the steps we've laid out for you and have a great week ahead.